So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On this rainy day in Delhi, I'm glad all of us could make it here. Uh, I think this picture makes for a really pretty picture here. All these gentlemen in about 10 days will be competing hard for the market share. But here we are all trying to share knowledge with all of us in this room. And the topic that we had at hand for today is a really interesting one. It's a combination of two things. One, customer, who we're all here to serve. All of us, the objective that we all have is to serve the customer. And the other moving piece that we have along with that is the digital era. All of us here today recognize that the digital era is really, changing things rapidly. Gone are the days in the 90s when information would slowly percolate from the West to the Indian markets. Today, whatever happens, by the second the updates are available in India, the customer is connected, the customer is aware, and the customer is demanding. And we're all here to understand from these gentlemen, to dip into their wisdom of decades, to understand how they are seeing customer expectations and its evolution. So let me now begin, by addressing my first question to Mr. Mahesh Kulkarni. And you can take the mic ahead, Mr. Kulkarni. And what I would want to understand from you is that with the increasing internet penetration in rural India as well as smartphone penetration, how do you see customer needs evolving?
Yeah. So, I'm audible? Yeah, okay. So, the internet penetration, what you talked about, Pushan, is really increasing in India. That's given actually. You can say roughly around, and various studies are on actually, like many studies done in last couple of years. And the figure that comes out to be roughly around 646 million users in India currently use the internet actively. And out of that, 352 are actually based in rural India. So the rural India has already overtaken urban India. So, and it's growing very rapidly as well. And there is a lot of headroom above to grow further. So that's the one big thing which is actually already happening there. When we did a lot of deep dive in this part actually, and to understand what is changing, where the rural customer is actually going, how is he using the digital internet, for what he is using for, and there are a lot of studies happen on that internally in Mahindra as well. And we found roughly the space of the digital space for the rural customer in India is basically revolving around the social networking. That's one of the very large piece about the connectivity, and that comes out to be because of WhatsApp medium. And another part is actually seeking the information. How correctly, how easily, as you rightly said, how easily I can access that information. So that's another piece that is coming out very loud and clear. Secondly, they also want to actually do a lot of agri-based search. As I said earlier, 352 million are using internet. And out of that, around 28% are actually doing the agri search online while buying any kind of equipment, any kind of tractor, fertilizer, seeds, tires, and so on. So that's a very big number. Like 28% are searching for that kind of a thing. And we found out what is actually changing, what they really want to have. The predominantly came out loud and clear, they wanted to have the very easy access. They want to have the changing needs, as you rightly said, is about very easy access, very convenient way of actually getting the data, very simple way to actually decode that data, and so on. So if you ask about how that translates to any of the manufacturer or any of the mediums, what you talk about, so clearly there are 3 V's which come out as a loud and clear in this segment. 3 V's we talk about as a strategy for the digital part of rural space. 3 V's are actually talking about, the first is a vernacular medium. Everybody wants to have the vernacular as a need from the consumer. So anything that goes to the rural medium has to be in the vernacular language, its own language. Second V is actually the video content. Video is another part which is playing loud and clear. So many of the states where the YouTube is playing bigger medium than the television today. So that's another way. So that's the another third V. And the last V is actually about the voice assist. Because many of the rural Indians cannot type in English or cannot type in the many languages. So what is a voice assist mechanism for them to get the information? So these are the changing needs in that context from my side.
Wonderful. I think, 2 key takeaways that I'm getting from here is, in India, any number that we speak about, that's at scale. Like you mentioned, 352 million people in rural India have access to this, that's more than the population of USA. USA stands at about 330 million. So any number that we have is at scale, and if we address the needs of that market, we have a viable business right there. And the second, of course, like you said, vernacular medium, video, and voice, I think really, really important aspects. Let me now come to Mr. Rajeev Rellan. And Mr. Rellan, what I would want to understand from you over, the various years of your experience in this industry, how have you seen the customer needs evolving for this industry? Over the last decade, how have the needs of the customers evolved, and how do you see the next 5 to 10 years in terms of the needs for the customer?
Pushan, in the tractor industry, in case you see, over the period of time, a lot of usage has changed. So earlier the usage was only a cultivator or something like that. And because of the change in pattern of the farming, I think a lot of new technology has really evolved. And like PTO-driven things has become more prominent, and more people have started using it. And because of, as Mahesh already said, because of the internet penetration, I think farmer is also now aware what is going on all the places. Earlier he was only confined to his village, so he was not aware of that thing. But I personally feel that because of this internet penetration and the road connectivity, which has improved over the years, I think the knowledge of the farmers is going up, and the changing in the farming pattern has really making farmer aware of everything which is going on across the world, and he is using the new implements. And as you said, the second question, that how you see, actually India is tractorized now, but not mechanized. So mechanization in various areas is going to be the next wave. Like in the transplanting, in the sowing, I think people are doing with their own hands today also, and labor dependent. Because of the shortage of labor and all other things, I think mechanization is going to be a key thing. As globally, the mechanization industry is much bigger than the tractor industry, value-wise, which is going to be slowly coming to India. That's my view.
Great. I think with that, all the people in this room will benefit from the rise in mechanization in India. I'll now come to Mr. Bimal Kumar, and I want to ask a very fundamental question, which is very central to our panel discussion for today. And that is, what is your view on customer centricity, right? And how has it been impacted with this digital revolution?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I think customer centricity is the universe in which everybody works, be it tractors or be it anybody. And probably it is much bigger than customer service or marketing or communication. It's a philosophy of business. And we may be customer focused, but customer centricity is beyond customer focus. Everybody is customer focused for history, right? But customer centricity is when the organization is aligned to the customer behavior, the customer needs, and customer expectations. And we have no barriers to serve the customer. Probably we have seen people in sales, marketing, and maybe the service department handling customers, but that is not customer centricity. That is, I would say, at best, customer care. But centricity is when this reaches till the manufacturing, till the design, and it is flowing from top to bottom. And it's really, really a challenge. We have often seen that every company wants to be caring about customers, but there are fractures in how we work. It stops, or we have to do a lot of internal communications to get that right. So probably customer centricity is much more than customer care or customer focus. And we see that, some companies who have realized it are really moving fast. And when it comes to the second question, how digital is changing, I would say we often see, the front end digital like interface with customers. That is very small piece of customer centricity. The bigger piece is how that customer interface is linked to the organization that is trying to be customer centric, which means how quickly a customer's query or a customer's expectation or a customer's problem is solved throughout the organization. And it does not break at a point where we say, okay, we would come back to you after 5 days, and then we say we need 5 more days, because there is a challenge internally within the company and we are trying to solve it. So it has to be really, really, I would say, agile thing with digital coming in. And we also have one more advantage with the digital, that we can, earlier we had to do market research to understand a customer, which was very tedious in rurals. Today we have got some better means through digital, like, you can go to social media, understand their perceptions, understand from their behavior as to whether what they are talking about your brand. So that is quite a powerful tool, but do we really act on that? Do we really monitor it? And then what do we do with that? It's that we see that, it's a positive feedback or a negative feedback, but how a strategy is being impacted by that is really, really where I would say customer centricity ideology is important. I get an input through digital, but I don't act. Then I'm digital, but not customer centric. This is what I'm trying to say. But digital within the organization is as important as between customer and the customer care department of the company. So probably this is how I look at customer centricity.
Right, so hearing the customer and acting on that, right? Yeah, Mr. Sanjay Kapoor.
Am I audible? Yeah. Can I add?
Sure,
One
please,
thing?
please.
Sorry, Bimalji. I will give
please
a little different perspective.
Sure.
You see, you're talking about customer centricity. Yes, digitization is helping a lot. So if you think, visualize it in a different fashion, it is shifting from product-centric to customer-centric. Previously, whole thing was run by the R&D, that we have this product and the customer has to choose from the given options. But now it is the customer centricity, and digitization is helping, taking customer feedback, taking customer views, and shifting from market share to customer's mind share. And digitization is the main thing which is helping all this change. And I'm forcing that the progress which we have seen in last 5 years, maybe next 3 years, it will be 3 times what we are today.
Absolutely. In fact, what digital is doing is it's short-circuiting the entire communication between the customer and the manufacturer. It's bringing the customer closer, and that has positives as well as negatives associated. You come to know if something's wrong, and people create a louder noise, of course, when they are not getting what they want. But they are also advocates, right? The customer, if he loves what you are selling to him, he will tell his friends. And the word spreads like wildfire. It goes viral, as they say, in digital, right? My next question is to you, Mr. Sanjay Kapoor. And what I want to understand from you is that, like Mr. Rellan mentioned, that we're still lacking in mechanization, and more so on the agri farm equipment side. We've seen good growth over the last couple of years on the farm equipment side, but I would say we're still quite underpenetrated when it comes to equipment. Although on the tractor side, which is the horse, we are quite penetrated, but not so much on the equipment side. Just wanted to understand from you, how is the need of the Indian farmer different from some of the other evolved geographies?
Yeah, you're right, Pushan. If you talk about the agriculture industry and divide between the tractors revenue versus the implement revenue, the ratio in India may be 65 versus 35, or maybe 70 versus 30. And if you go to the developed countries, it is the reverse. In India, I fully agree, it is not the pace is very slow. It is still under-penetrated because we have our own characteristics. We have a lot of changes in the cropping pattern every 100 kilometers, or even less than that. The cropping pattern gets changed. The other major factor is our small land holdings and availability of the horsepower, farm horsepower, or in another way, the average tractor horsepower, because of which people or the multinationals which are, they have a smaller setup over here, they can bring much faster the mechanized solution or the bigger end of the machineries. But the farmers' affordability, low land holdings, and other factors like prime mover, availability of the prime mover is a big hindrance to that. The average, if you talk about average earning of our farmer, it is not more than $1,200 a year, which is very, very low for him to buy such kind of equipment. The other thing is, if you see here, for higher equipment, if we talk about, let's say, combine harvesters or sugarcane harvesters or the bigger machines, the individual farmer is not able to afford that. So it is basically through the contractor segment. Whereas if you go to the developed countries, most of these machines are owned by bigger farmers because they have the need. So all these things were designed thinking of the individual customer needs. But here there is a conflict between the contractor segment and the need of the farmer, the time when he needs, whether he will get that machine or not. So in my view, a lot of things has to happen. Government of India is facilitating through even digitization also. If we are talking about digitization, they have a digital agricultural mission launched a few months back only, and they have tied up with the 5-6 bigger giants like Cisco, ITC, Jio, and they are doing a lot of things. In fact, if we have to increase our pace in this direction, the private-public partnership can only help in this direction.
Right. Just as a follow-up, do you see some white spaces in the Indian market in terms of the product offering versus the market need? Given, like you said, the earning of a farm family in India, it's close to about 1,20,000 only in rupee terms. And that in a family of 4 to 5 works out to just rupees 2,000 per person a month, which is paltry, right? So are there some white spaces there?
There are very, very wide spaces. If you talk about the seeding technology, let's say, so either we have a high-end pneumatic seeding machines or very low-end mechanical seeding machines. And if you talk about precision seeding machines, there is a dearth of that. If you talk about the volumes which is being sold in India about the little high-end machines, it is not even 200 machines of the higher end, because all these machines come with a price which customer think that it is only usage for 10 days a year or 15 days a year if there is a 2 season. So he can't afford that. And whereas the mechanical seeding machine, they don't have the precision, they don't have seed-to-seed control, they don't have row-to-row control. So one is a very major segment which I am forcing, that the seeding machines, India needs that. Another is on the crop care. There's a lot of dearth as far as the crop care is concerned. We are good in seedbed preparation, we are good in harvesting machines, but if you talk about the crop care, there is a wide space, because the kind of mechanization or kind of sprayers we are using, they are not in the right content. Even there is a lot of issues going on in Europe because of the content or because of the other things. There also people are shifting to some of the mechanical hoeing or other machines. So India has a lot of potential as far as these two segments are concerned.
Sure. Mr. Rellan, you have a point?
Pushan, I want to add, I think he has touched a very relevant point. The only thing is that the affordable range of Indian farmers, we have to pick up things as a technology, democratizes and on affordable prices in the India, in case we are able to supply those things. I think that is going to be the future of this industry, mechanization.
Right, right.
Because farmer alone cannot afford such a maybe 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 70 lakhs machines. I think on an affordable price, in case we can develop a smaller technology, because we have got a very small farm sizes, then I think it is going to penetrate, and future is there.
Right. Thanks, gentlemen, for those valuable insights. I'll now move to a specific question from Mr. Ranjit Thakur. and this is to do with something that Mr. Bimal touched upon, is, for a critical machinery like tractors, downtime is of a lot of concern for farmers, and especially during the peak season, the peak Rabi or Kharif season. How do you, in your customer conversations, what is your assessment when you are speaking to customers regarding downtime? And what are you doing to address such requirements from the farmers?
Thank you, Pushan. Good evening, everyone. So this is not only about the peak season. 365 days, 24/7, we are committed to our customers. We always care for them. So in this direction, in April 2019, we had introduced Care 24/7 direct button. So that helps customers to directly connect with the company. Two-way communication can be established between the customer and with the company. So this concept was introduced in April 2019. All the tractors are fitted with Care device that is fitted around the, very close to the dashboard. So if somebody wants to connect with the company, you just have to push the button. The moment you push the button, then you get connected with our call center. We receive the message, and the call center is basically having a complete multilingual round-the-clock team sitting there. Technically, they are capable to connect with the customer. Within 2 minutes, they have to connect with the customer. They have to try to resolve the issues over phone. If the things are getting closed over phone, this is well and good. If not, then in that case, within 2 hours, we assign one technician, and that has the target to resolve the issues within 2 days. Coming to the Care device. So Care device is basically consist of one microphone, speaker, and SIM. So whenever we receive the message, we get connected with the customer on the registered mobile number. Okay. Now here is one scenario. If customer has bought the tractor, but tractor is driven by the driver, so customer is somewhere else. So what will happen? Immediately in 2 minutes, call will be given to the customer on the registered mobile number, but he is not there. So we will coordinate, we will see whether they can come closer to the driver or not. If not, then in that case, we will directly make call to the tractor fitted with the Care device. Since, as I have already expressed, so it consists of microphone and speaker, so we can establish two-way communication with the customer. So either it is peak season or normal time. So you can directly with the company. So we try to resolve the issues on the utmost priority. And I would like to say approx 300,000 tractors, approximately 3 lakhs tractors of Escorts under Power Track and Farm Track brand, which are already running in the market fitted with this Care device. So I would like to say this was one of the big steps towards customer centricity. And we are not stopping here. Recently, we are also experimenting one of the brand promise that is called zero downtime. So that is in the piloting stage. So we are making the commitment to the farmers. If your tractor is off-road, so we will try to fix same day. If you are not able to do it, then we will offer you the standby tractor. So your job cannot be on hold. So this is what we are trying to do from the customer centricity and enhancing the uptime point of view.
Thanks, Ranjit, for sharing that with us. I've asked questions to 5 gentlemen. Gaurav is still remaining. Gaurav is in a unique situation, at an advantage or a disadvantage, the way you look at it. His customers are right here, unlike the others. All his customers, but partially. The other set of customers are, of course, still the farmers for the aftermarket business. So, Gaurav, I would want to understand from you, how are the needs of these 2 customer segments, the farmer as well as the OEM, how are they different?
So, thank you, Pushan, and first of all, I feel really honored to be part of this esteemed panel. You talked about the fact that the competition might heat up in the coming days. Well, I'm not complaining. We can take care of your requirements. And coming to the question which you have asked, so I think, and I think my esteemed panelists will agree, be it the OEMs or be it the farmers, everyone is looking for a quality product. From the OEM side, I think if there is a product or a tire which they fit, which has got higher perceived quality, that adds to the overall value of the product, right? And I have come across instances, and I think my panelists will agree, wherein how at a retail level, the price which a dealer charges for a tractor to the customer increases if the perceived value of the products which are fitted on the tractor is higher in the eyes of the customer. So I think it's basically the same for the customer and the OEMs. At the customer end, as you rightly pointed out, that they are looking at low downtime. They don't want any kind of downtime, especially during the peak time of Kharif and Rabi sowing and seasons. Also, this is typically a high cost input. If I talk about all the agri inputs which a farmer takes, this is a high cost input. And typically a farmer changes his tires in 4 to 5 years. So he doesn't want to take a wrong decision or go for a product which he feels doesn't have the right quality. And that might end up leading into a downtime during the farming season and also giving him lower life. So just maybe at the cost of repeating, the requirement is the same from the OEM partners as well as the farmers, that a product which has got good quality is what they are looking at.
Sure. Thanks, Gaurav, for sharing that. I'll now move to Mr. Bimal again. And what I would want to understand from you is that, we spoke about internet penetration increasing, reaching rural India. Mr. Rellan also spoke about not just data, but the ease of drive, road connectivity increasing. How is it that this change, and more so on the data side with internet penetration, how has it helped you in understanding customer needs? And the second part is in targeting your solutions to them, right? So in understanding what they want and then reaching out to them with the right solution.
Yeah. I think understanding customer needs is quite tricky, But we have got a lot of advantage from the YouTubers that are sitting here. Because, we cannot really see every application that customer does, but the YouTubers bring that at a very micro level. So I would appreciate the contribution of all of you guys here. And vernacular things, interviews, they give you a partial info. But if you look at a video and then, the guy talks, it gives a lot of ideas to us as to, what more can be done. And then we also get a lot of competitive information through those videos, which is very tough to get, or very costly, I would say, to get on a real-time basis. So these two things are quite useful when we have to understand the customer's expectations and what's happening in the market. So this is quite a useful area, I would say. When it comes to a structured, survey through digital, I think it's not working well because customers don't really participate in surveys is what we have found. But for sure, one area is these videos, and second is then the social media where they put comments, positive, negative, good, bad. So these two things together is quite a powerful way of, getting insights. And then you have to verify it through your own on-the-ground study. But yes, digital has really, as you said, short-circuited the delay between the customer's usage practices. As Mr. Sanjay was saying that every 100 kilometers you have a different usage. I would say another thing, every 3 months, the customer designs a better usage from tractor. So you don't, it's like the horse. So it is being used for n number of things from, agriculture is one piece, but he uses it for, you name it, right? Everywhere the tractors are visible. So you can understand the usages, and then you see whether your product is suitable for that or how to make it suitable. So this is on the insights. Then second is how we address or reach to our customers. I think it's a very, very big opportunity because you can customize your message looking at all the 3 V's as to what type of a video, what type of communication, in which language you have to do to which customer. Otherwise, you only have the mass marketing. Like if you have a newspaper, you can only do as much in a newspaper in terms of what you want to communicate. But if it is on digital, you can communicate through videos is most popular, I would say. Second is voice. And you can also show your product, you can show the usage. And to every customer, if you have a very great data analytics at the back end, you can send the right content to a right customer, which would be different in the same village as well, which is very, very difficult, without digital. If I go to a village, I can take one tractor, demonstrate. But digitally, I can give 10 different messages to 10 different customers if I have their profile mapped, and I can, generate the right content basis that profile. So I would say data would play a big role as we progress. Today it is not mature, but for sure digital is going to create a customized message, and automated is also important. Otherwise manual is very tough. So this is, I would say, the future that I foresee for all of us in sales and marketing going forward.
Right. I think really important and interesting insight there on how different, how you can target different customers in a differentiated manner. I think, Gaurav, you have a point there. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Mr. Bimal said, and in complete agreement with him. And I think we have also realized the power of YouTube, wherein we use some influencers. I think some of them are here also. So, and how it actually helped us reach out to the customer and do a very targeted kind of communication. And not only YouTube, I think I was reading about how there are new apps like Moj, Josh, Chingari, which are short video apps, and how brands across spectrum of different industries are using them to communicate about the product. So I guess the marketing landscape is changing, and over the 5 years it's going to further change, wherein I think it's going to move more towards digital, and more marketing monies are going to move towards digital. And I think this is a trend which is going to increase only going forward.
Right. Absolutely. The customers are quite different. They need different things. They need differentiated communication as well. Which is why now I'll come to Mr. Kulkarni again. And what I would want to understand from you, Mr. Kulkarni, is just stretching the same topic that we were just discussing. In India, we have 86% of our farmers who are small and marginal. Some of them might not be in a position to buy a tractor. And then we have the remaining 14% comprising of medium and large farmers. How do you address the needs of this differentiated market, right? Both on the tractor side as well as a service like CRISIL that Mahindra is offering, which is into digital solutions, precision farming, to name a few. So would you want to share some experiences around that?
Yeah, so I will just connect few dots what is discussed so far here actually. Like you talked about like somebody talked about the customer centricity. Rellan said about the affordability. He gave the example about how the care button actually made it possible to connect with the customers that easily. And it about the farm mechanization, what is the way ahead forward. If you plot all that in the digital space and slice it based on the customer segmentation part of it, who will need what kind of a, you can say, solution from the manufacturers or the organization, then you can see that, as you rightly said, if you broadly categorize the Indian farming group into 2 categories, and one category you can say that maybe a farmer who is using the tractor 30% of his time for the agri application, but 60-70% time for the commercial application. I'm saying that's a typical way of marginal or medium farmer. What you're talking about, 86% of the profile. Maybe the large farmer is using it for the totally different kind of application, like maybe the agri produce needs to be enhanced. And that is his more requirement is actually how to increase the yield, productivity or cost optimization, resources optimization, and so on actually. And if you plot that, what the digital technology can do both of these profiles in a manner, and keeping in mind these parameters. So there are various solutions which can be actually talked about in that sense. From the sales sides, we talked about the vernacular tapping and all that, that's a part of it. More than that, actually you can go ahead and actually give them the little more advantages while maybe some platforms can be floated, which can be actually given the finance kind of a clarification, or maybe the resale of tractors can be one of the area. Maybe on the service side, maybe the platforms can actually deliver the online purchase of maybe the parts can be one of the area, which can be totally unexplored in that, and that will actually add to convenience, add to the overall purchasing pattern, the experience part of it. Maybe the rental model can come in that sense, in the selling area. So those are the horizons in the sales and service part. Maybe you can say online service booking is another area, which is normally happening in the tractor industry. Like, can we really do the online booking and the service is actually coming to my doorstep agent? He talked about pressing a button. We do about somebody gives a missed call to me and then it is linked to the dealership and the operator goes to his place and do the doorstep service. So those are all the areas which can talk about the sales and service experience. That's a one leg of it. The second leg of it actually the many services that will actually add to the whole game, which is actually you talked about maybe the precision farming or the krishi kind of solutions which give the advisory to the farmers. You can use the IoT based technologies which will give the overall the spraying which can automated, the hydraulics that will actually utilize the implements to a different level and your productivity can increase. Then you can use your tractor which is we have got a DigiSense kind of application which allows you to tractor to actually navigate, locate, you can actually monitor it, you can actually use it for the better efficiencies and so on. So there is a lot of umbrella that is available for a digital solutions in my mind. And we can work upon that as a tractor industry.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Kulkarni for that. I'll now go to Mr. Ranjit Thakur. And again, we've been speaking about it. Our friends at Tractor Junction also spoke about the role of e-commerce, right? And we've seen e-commerce play a very critical role on the two-wheeler side. There are OEMs that are going just direct to customer using the online channel. How are you seeing the role of e-commerce and online sales in the tractor industry? And if you could share some trends around that.
I think this is very relevant and necessary question as of now when the things are moving, everything is going for digitization. And especially if you see any sector, whether it is automotives or commodities or FMCG, FMEG, everywhere, so sales has started shifting from brick to click. Okay, so earlier the modus operandi for selling any tractor was you have to route through brick and mortar channel. But as rightly specified by you, in commercial vehicles or in two-wheeler industry, sales has already started through e-commerce platforms. So in this direction, I would like to first of all share something about some data. Like Government of India has recently in last 2 to 3 years, they have worked a lot through Digital India, Skill India, and that helps a lot to enhance the internet penetration across the country, okay? And especially if I am referring the data of TRAI last year, so as per that, more than 825 million people have started using internet in the country. Especially if I see the rural penetration of internet, so that is approximately 35%. So customers are very much aware. So it's not only about urban market, in rural market also customer has started using the internet for exploring the product, for knowing about the product, which kind of product they have to buy, what should be the comparison between the products. So all set of informations are easily accessible to the customers. So in this direction, we anticipated 4 years back and we introduced the online platform, online brand, so that is called DigiTrack. So DigiTrack enables farmers to buy the tractor online, okay? So app is available on the Play Store. You can download the app. You can go for a demo request. So somebody will visit from our side. They will showcase you the demo. If you are convinced with the product performance, then you can go for the transaction over portal only. So all these things are helping farmers to buy the tractors online. The purpose of DigiTrack was not only limited to enable the farmers to buy the tractors online. However, we are offering 3 key features. So one is like customer can see the transparent pricing. Whatever the transaction price is there, it is available on the app. We are selling 3-4 models, prices are available. That is comprises of your insurance, RTO, everything. And you are directly dealing with the company. Second thing, you are getting the product direct from the company. So that is factory fresh concept. So if you are buying the tractor, we will deliver at your doorstep. And the third thing is no question asked warranty. So enabling customers to buy the tractor online, that is one aspect. Apart from that, 3 key features are also being given. So overall value proposition, that is much more enhanced. Through this platform, we have already sold approximately 2,000 tractors in last 4 years. And the way market is getting changed, I can visualize 3 to 4 years down the line, we may see a rapid shift from this brick and mortar to this model. And considering that, we are also exploring the opportunity to scale this idea.
Sure. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. I'll now go to Gaurav again. And Gaurav, if you look at the commercial tractor usage, 2-3 years back, we had seen a sharp uptick in the usage. And now, again, with infrastructure capex expected to pick up, we believe that the commercial usage of tractors for non-agri purposes might go up. Higher horsepower tractors, of course, used for that segment. How do you see the needs of that particular customer segment on the farmer side?
So if I talk about the profile of the customer, I think it's very unlike a farmer. It's actually more like a short-haul truck customer. So typical usage is also like that, wherein typically a farmer uses a product for 4 to 5 years, as I mentioned. His needs are different, looks for more maybe grip on the soil when he's farming. Whereas if you talk about a customer users in commercial application, he's looking for better load carrying capability. He's looking for a tire. I mean, again, the usage is over 10 to 12 months. The usage is also more intense, it's a daily based usage. Whereas if you talk about farming, it's still Rabi and Kharif, and some of them might use in a bit of haulage, but typically that's the major usage. So I think, just to repeat myself, but it's more like a truck usage, where the customer is looking for load carrying capability. Also, the things which get the product into the consideration set are also very different. The customer is looking for a tire which is robust, which is taller, broader. So that's about the commercial segment. And as you rightly said, this is going to pick up further because of the fact that there are certain applications wherein a tractor only can reach out to there. For example, a timber, which is very popular in the northern part of the country, say Yamunanagar, big haulage segment, and typically the place from where the timber is got, it's only a tractor which can reach there. And that is what is fueling the growth of tractors in the commercial application.
Thanks Gaurav for sharing that. So we have the last couple of questions, and I've reserved the last one for you, Mr. Rellan. So I'll go for the penultimate question to Mr. Sanjay Kapoor. If we look at the Indian market, like I said, 86% of our farmers are small and marginal. But interestingly, they own only 47% of the land. The remaining 14% own 53% of the land. So that's itself a large addressable market. And where I'm going with this question is, on the automated equipment, something that you referred to earlier, like seeders, do you see India being a meaningful and large market for such equipment?
I covered that there is a white space available. The only characteristics which I would like to say is that in India, the practices are a little different. And there are a lot of crops we grow. If you go to US or go to Europe, part of that, if at one part, if you see potato, it's a large holdings only on potato. So you get the total ecosystem working for that kind of machines, seeds, harvesting, seeding, available for that. But here, beside two major crop, let's say paddy and wheat, there are so many cereals. There's soybean is there, maize is there, onions are there, cotton is there. So every region has a different requirement. And then the seeding practices are altogether different. Like in Maharashtra, if you go at one part of Maharashtra to other part of Maharashtra, the seeding practices are entirely different. So for that seeding practices, the local and unorganized seeding machines are prevalent because customer is habitual. Customer does not want to shift to a little higher end solutions which the manufacturer or the machine people say, because they are still of the say, if I go for that, whether I'll get the right kind of yield or not. This was the same issue when we were in CNH, my ex-company, when the sugarcane harvester was launched. So the practices of whether it is a 4-foot planting or 5-foot planting, so it took a little time. So if the OEM manufacturer here go for like CNH, John Deere, all big companies are there, Mahindra, they have to cater to 10 or 15 types of different seeds. No one machine will be able to seed all kind of seeds. So either small to medium, maybe one machine. Medium to large will be different machines. And it requires a lot of investments. So putting a lot of investment and seeing whether it will take a high incubation period for the volumes to come into the field, that's a deterrent factor.
Sure. Thanks for sharing that. We've come to the last question, and Mr. Rellan, I would like to address that to you. Okay, I think Mr. Kulkarni has a point to make. Yeah, please.
No, just to add the point what he has raised, that's a very resistance by the farmers to change actually. And this is one of the initiative, what you were talking about earlier about the CRISIL actually, the advisory to the farmer physically with their plot actually. So, and that's one of the exercise we are actually experimenting in Mahindra, which is actually taking 1 acre of his plot and 9 acres he can use himself and demonstrating how that 1 acre can give the maybe double or triple the kind of a yield by doing these practices what he's talking about, and then he will get convinced. That's a process only to get it changed.
Right.
That's what
I think what you're mentioning is an extremely important point, and the reason why I say that is the risk-taking capability for a farmer is very low in India. And one can imagine, you know, if someone is earning 1,20,000 in a family of 5 per year, how does he really take risk, right? So something like that, seeing is believing and demonstrating the success, I think that's what can really bring about change. You know, if time permits, we could go to the audience and the organizers could indicate that, but I'll come to my last question, which is on service, right? And the customer really, after the product is sold, service is of paramount importance for critical equipment like tractors. You know, we've seen multiple OEMs bring out doorstep service, right? What we wanted to understand is how much are these doorstep service as a percentage of the overall service request that is coming from farmers? And from an OEM perspective, is this a cost center or is this economically viable?
First of all, I think everybody has mentioned about, I would like to start that there is a huge difference between the customer satisfaction, customer service, and customer experience. All three are different. Customer experience says clearly at all touch points how we are going to serve the customers. And it's normally when the customer centricity or customer service or something comes out, I think people think that if the machine goes something wrong, I think how to repair, how in 24 hours, 15 hours or something we can give the good service, parts availability. I think customer experience is entirely different. And doorstep service is one of the thing which is creating a very good customer experience. And to my view, I don't know about the what is the going in the industry, but my view is Mahindra level or Swaraj level. I think our this doorstep service is doing very, very well, and particularly in the COVID period, how the organization has went out of the way and helped the customers by supplying the parts and service to a customer before the season when the workshops was closed, showrooms were closed, people were not coming to the workshop. I think that has created a very good experience among the customers. So customers are liking it and more are more opting it. And digital is going to help this out because we have created an app. So a lot of companies have created an app. You can book your service on the app and the customer, the dealer's representative will go to your place and give you the service. And it is not, it is very well viable with the OEMs. The thing is that everything is the same. Only the going and coming cost is of the person is there. Otherwise, he was in the workshop or the whatever the oil, whatever the consumables you are going to sell, you are going to sell. Only thing is it is the cost. And I think, suppose you make a trip as a milk run basis and fix up the dates according to that customers, I think it is very much viable and doable to my view. And it is going to be a good delight and a lifetime value for customers.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to add what Rellan Saab said actually, in fact, it will allow the dealer to grow the business. Because it is actually the customer is not going to come to you, maybe he will start coming to you and will add it, retention will go up.
And lot of inquiries also, when you go to a village and do a doorstep service, lot of new inquiries comes to you, lot of people get attracted to you. I think it is a very, otherwise creating an inquiry is also very, very expensive. You give a one newspaper ad, it is going to cost a huge. Once you are going to a village and you are catering to that village in a whole day, I think is a very good proposition.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And e-vehicles and all, I think with coming, the things will come up. The commuting will also become cheaper. I think it is going to be viable to my view.
Sure. Yes, Mr. Ranjit.
I just want to add one more thing what Sir has said and Mr. Kulkarni has said. In case of tractors, as compared to car or commercial vehicle, distance is very high. So in car industry, you can get your dealers in 5 to 10 kilometer radius. However, in tractor industry, on an average, it is still 30 to 40 kilometers. Okay. So on one hand, it helps the dealer to enhance the service market share. You retain your farmers for a longer time. On the other hand, customers are also getting benefited because for one service, they have to travel 30 to 40 kilometers and it consumes a lot of diesel. So, of course, doorstep service is fantastic from the tractor industry point of view. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Ranjit, for that. So, in fact, really a huge round of applause for all these gentlemen for sharing their wonderful thoughts with us. There are a lot of insights for us to take away from here. I think critically, listening to customers, understanding their evolving needs, understanding the media also that is changing, the mode of communication, digital channels. There's so much big data out there. It's for us to absorb really what the customer is talking, segment them into differentiated needs, and how we can bring out our solutions to them. And like it is said, the only person who knows you better than your mother is Mark Zuckerberg, right? Because Facebook has all your data, they understand you uniquely, and they target their solutions uniquely. And that's, I think, where the industry needs to strive in a meaningful, more meaningful way, I should say. With that, we come to an end of the panel discussion. If there is time for 5 minutes, you could indicate we can take a couple of audience questions. Do we have 5 minutes or shall we close? All right. I think we're getting an indication that we're slightly running over. Okay, I have just one question we'll take. All right. If someone can pass this gentleman here a mic, or I can just pass mine, yeah. Please identify yourself and you can ask the question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ankush Patil. I am Commercial Director in 𝐿𝐴 ISFAR. Actually, this is not a question. Just adding to the last discussion which was happening about the door-to-door service. I have a difference of opinion. I'm not contradicting any of the opinions, but just to put my point in front of the panel and the audience. See, essentially the difference between a tractor and any other vehicle or automobile is they are luxury, and tractor is a breadwinner for a farmer. This is the only automobile tractor. After selling, it brings money back to the table of the customer, be it a farmer or a contractor. Whereas any other vehicle, it essentially takes away your money. So door-to-door service, I'll come to the point because of the time shortage. Door-to-door service, though it became a USP for some organizations in India for fast selling of the tractors, but essentially it is hurting the product. How I will try to explain in just 30 seconds. There are a lot of things which a tractor needs in every service. There are a lot of things which cannot happen in the customer's doorstep because nowadays the tractors are very rich, technically very advanced than the cars or the trucks. I see some of my products costing 25 lakhs. cars in that range, are Audi and other multinational brands. So those things cannot be done in a customer's doorstep. There are air filters, there are a lot of sensors nowadays. With TREM 4 coming in, there will be many sensors in tractors. So this is just an appeal to the forum, and through Tractor Junction, I would like to appeal to all the decision makers, because I see all big people in the tractor industry sitting on the dais. So I have no objection to making door-to-door service as a USP. But my point is, if we don't encourage it, it will really benefit the real farmer, the customer which we are talking about here on the stage. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for sharing that. And with that, we've come to a close of this session. I hope you've taken at least some valuable insights that you could implement when you go back to work. Thanks a lot for your time today, and again, a round of applause for all these gentlemen here on stage. Thank you.